Hey guys, welcome back to Barry Melt's channel. Today we're going to be talking about the different types of bariatric surgery and how to choose the best one that is right for you. So if you're interested, then just keep watching. So if you came across this video, you're probably trying to figure out if bariatric surgery is right for you, and if it is, what procedure you should have done. So I wanted to talk about it today because I remember being there myself. I am currently 4 years post-op gastric sleeve surgery, and I remember it was really challenging trying to figure out the different types of surgeries, what the differences were, who they were best fit for. So we're going to focus on that today and talk about all the details that you need to know. First things first is trying to figure out if bariatric surgery is for you. Now, the American Society for Bariatric Surgery really reserves weight loss surgery for people who have a pretty significant BMI. Weight loss surgery is typically not something that doctors recommend if you just have like 20 pounds to lose. So people who have 40 BMI or greater, or 35 BMI and greater with some other type of condition like high blood pressure, diabetes, sleep apnea, those types of conditions that usually come with obesity, or people who have really tried to lose weight through different weight loss and diet plans and just have been unsuccessful. So that's typically who weight loss surgery is reserved for, are people with that level of BMI or with additional health concerns that are weight related. So there are many different types of weight loss surgeries, but they all achieve weight loss through one of two things, either through malabsorption or through restriction, and sometimes even both. So let's break down all of the surgeries based on those two things. Restriction refers to weight loss through reduction of the size of the stomach, and when that happens, you reduce the amount of food that you can take in. So the different surgeries that are restrictive are gastric sleeve, the one I had done, lap band, and vertical band or stomach stapling. With these different types of surgeries, there is no change in your digestive tract. It is simply the creation of a smaller pouch, and therefore you're able to take in less food, so you feel fuller a lot faster. So with gastric band and lap band, it works by putting a device or a band around the upper portion of the stomach, and that's what creates that smaller pouch where you have the smaller size stomach and therefore you're taking in less food. The difference with gastric sleeve is with gastric sleeve, you're actually physically removing your stomach. So about 70 to 80% of your stomach is actually cut out and taken out of your body. There are three main types of malabsorption procedures. They are BPD, duodenal switch, and gastric bypass. The small intestine is where most of the nutrition is absorbed when you eat something. So the way these surgeries work is by bypassing that and skipping about 60% of your small intestine. So that way you're not absorbing as much once you take something in. Because of the rerouting that happens, there's also less contact with pancreatic enzymes, and those are used to help break different fats down and be able to absorb different food. So because there's less contact there, you aren't absorbing as much. Most malabsorption procedures work with some element of restriction. For example, gastric bypass. The way gastric bypass works is through a significant rerouting of your intestines, but what also contributes to it is the smaller pouch that is created with your stomach. So with the combination of restriction and malabsorption, there is some pretty significant weight loss from gastric bypass. Now, I will say there are many different factors that go into selecting what surgery is right for you, such as how much weight you need to lose, what health conditions you currently have, the cost of the surgeries. So there are so many decisions that you have to make, and it is best for you to talk to your surgeon and figure out what surgery is right for you and for your lifestyle. But a lot of times people who prefer gastric bypass are those that have the other conditions as well, such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, some other condition that has come from being obese. Whereas people who tend to go more towards lap band or gastric sleeve, they typically are not those that have all of the other health conditions that are playing a part in their health. Now, one thing that really helped me when I was trying to decide what surgery to have was the thinking of it like this. Gastric bypass, once that rerouting occurs, it's done. There's nothing you can do to change it. Obviously that's the same with gastric sleeve, with removing your stomach. They're literally cutting it out of your body. You can't get that back. But the way I looked at it was, if I have gastric sleeve and I try to lose weight through this restriction process, I can always convert later to gastric bypass if I feel like I'm not losing enough weight strictly through restriction. But gastric bypass, it's like, it's done. You can't go back to getting gastric sleeve. You've already rerouted your intestines. So that kind of helped me thinking through the process of, should I go as extreme as bypass, or should I, start with sleeve and then maybe have to go to bypass if it doesn't work? And that's the same thing with lap band. With lap band, you're just putting a band, so you can have that removed, and it's not permanent in the sense that, the same thing with the sleeve, removing your stomach, or bypass, rerouting your intestines. So it's nice if you care about that, and if you care to have that kind of control of if you change your mind. Now, I will say, with that being said, I have heard so many times of people who have had lap band and who have wanted to convert to gastric sleeve or gastric bypass. So don't think that I'm sitting here saying that lap band and gastric sleeve are the best choices, or lap band's the best choice, because I think it honestly depends on each individual person. All I'm trying to point out here is that there are different things to consider depending on what your specific needs are. The best piece of advice I can give you is to do your research. Even if you think that one surgery is a better fit for you, do research on all the different surgeries and see what the risk factors are, what the side effects are, and things that you have to deal with. Some surgeries have a greater risk of having acid reflux. Some have a greater risk of having leaks from the staples and things. So there are a lot of things you have to consider when it comes to these surgeries. And don't just assume that, oh, gastric bypass or lap band or gastric sleeve, those are the most common I hear about, so let me choose lap band or let me choose bypass. Do your research and feel confident that you're making the best choice for you and not the person next to you. Because my personal journey through weight loss surgery is completely different than the person next to me going through weight loss surgery. So remember that each person is different. We all have different needs. We all have different health conditions, and it's important that you consider all of those. Another thing for you to consider is the long-term success. There are some really interesting statistics out there, and one that I remember when I was making the decision to have gastric sleeve that made me a little nervous was that gastric sleeve wasn't as popular. And so there was a lot more research on the success of gastric bypass than there was of gastric sleeve. And nowadays it's showing that gastric bypass has a greater chance of having that long-term success than gastric sleeve does. So again, there are so many things that go into this, and there's so much research out there about all these different types of surgeries. So decide what's best for you. If you're one that has a significant amount of weight to lose and you have some other conditions like sleep apnea or high blood pressure, you're probably leaning more towards gastric bypass. Or if you're someone who you don't have that significant amount of weight to lose, but you've tried weight loss through different ways, you might be leaning more towards lap band. Or you might be in the middle there with gastric sleeve. That's kind of how I look at it. It's lap band, gastric sleeve, gastric bypass. So it's kind of a spectrum when I think of it, of how extreme you go with weight loss surgery. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to what the best surgery is. I think it just really depends on the individual. So go talk to your surgeons, get all the information you need from these different procedures, and choose the one that is the best fit for you personally. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you would, give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe so you stay up to date with all of the new videos that we'll be putting out on this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.